If you saw my last video, you saw that I took the transmission out of my 1991 Lexus LS400. Now it's time to replace the seals in my oil pump, give it a little bit of a refresh. I'm going to clean up the transmission and put her back in and hopefully have no more problems. I sent in an oil test for my transmission fluid and I still haven't gotten it back, so I figured I'd just come out to the shop and clean it up a little bit. I'm hoping I can get that oil test back soon so I can confidently start digging into it without knowing that the transmission is messed up. I'm also still waiting on a couple of parts for the seals for the oil pump. I ordered some more off of Lexus, some OEM seals, and yeah, hopefully that will solve all of my problems and I won't have to mess with it ever again. Alright, I'm taking apart the oil pump so I can get to the seals. I don't have all my seals in right now, but I'm taking it apart anyway. It's pretty simple. Take off these 13 bolts, which is these ones right here. Take those off and it just separates right apart. And this is one piece and this is the other. And in the manual it told me to use this as a stand, like I hold it upside down onto this and use it as a stand, I'm assuming, so I don't damage any of these splines or anything like that, but I don't know, I used it anyways. I'm going to use a screwdriver to take off this seal. That's what the manual says, and I'm going to inspect it a little bit. This is the old seal, doesn't really look too amazing. Those are the marks from the screwdriver when I was prying it out. I'm not really seeing anything enormous, but I know there's some pieces that are slightly missing that could be causing a lot of leakage. So I'm going to be replacing that with this one. This is an OEM seal that I bought from Lexus, and it looks a lot nicer. So hopefully this will fix all my sealing problems. And it's going to seat. Ooh, it's going to seat right in there. So there's another thing that I'm checking out that I don't know if I should be concerned about or even be looking. Looking at the bushings here and the maximum diameter for different pieces of this. I don't know if it could possibly wear away to where it would be too much and letting fluid through. So like there's different clearances within the actual oil body itself, or oil pump itself. And yeah, I'm not sure if that's something that I should look at and really measure. I don't have either of these tools. I ordered up a feeler gauge for this, but I'm not exactly sure. I don't know if this is something that I should even worry about at all, but it's here anyways. But if you have your oil body apart and you wanted to measure this stuff and you don't have a manual like this is for a 1991 Lexus LS400. Take a look at it, screenshot it, pause it here. And here's this as well. So we got everything finally figured out with the oil pump and it is ready to go back inside of the car. Some of the problems that we ended up actually running into was this bearing, I think, was pretty loose inside of there. And that goes right behind that oil pump. And I was taking measurements with my grandpa actually. He helped me press this seal back in and then find out that this bushing was actually missing. It was sitting on top of my torque converter. It came out when I pulled this oil pump off of there when I was using it as a stand. It just popped off, and I don't really want a bushing sitting there in there that loose. But what I had previously done is bought the wrong oil pump for my car. I thought I could just replace the whole oil pump and be done, but I bought the wrong one. The stator shaft is way shorter, and the splines are different on here too. So I'm not using this, but what turns out is these bodies, this body right here and this body right here, are completely identical. So I took the body off of the oil pump that I did not end up using and I put it onto here. It had new bearings or bushings, and you can see it right behind the pump there. That's the bushing. That's this bushing right here. All brand new, and it's good to go. Everything's resealed. And I just connected it all up, lubed it up inside of there, and now it is ready to go back inside of the transmission. Huge shout out to my grandpa though for helping me with all of this. I definitely wouldn't have figured it out without him, especially with not knowing that this was supposed to be behind there. I honestly never would have noticed that. He helped me put it all back together. He actually had a press for putting that in, which we're not going to end up using now, sadly, but we put it all back together, and I went and saw him, and he's got a lot more knowledge on this kind of stuff than I do, and he's got a lot more experience. So huge shout out to him. I didn't get any clips from me inside the shop, but I'm very grateful that I had his help and his insight to when I was putting this all back together. So I'm definitely a lot more confident about putting this oil pump in and everything being sealed up correctly than I was before. So I'm very, very grateful for that. And now it's time to just put it all back together. All right, the oil pump is back inside the transmission. I torqued everything to 16 foot-pounds, and that is to the manual. And then now I just need to put the bell housing on and, oops. I just need to put the bell housing back on, and the transmission should be ready to go back in. For the bell housing, it's going to be, for the A bolts, 25 foot-pounds, and B bolts, it's going to be 42 foot-pounds. I really don't know how I just did that. That was the hole that it did that in. I mean, I threaded in another one and it went through just fine. So I don't think any threads are damaged inside the transmission. I think we're all right. But I'm gonna have to run into town and I guess get a new bolt. That is so weird. All right, torque converter is put back in. So is the bell housing. I got new bolts for it, and transmission's ready to be slid underneath the car and put back in. You know, when you have none of the correct tools to put in a transmission, it really, really, really sucks. But I will say, the transmission is in. I mean, not all the bolts are like completely tight, but we got a bunch of them snugged in there. And then we got this rear piece put up there, so it's going to stay up there. Just I'm going to get to everything else later. The only thing that I'm slightly concerned about when I put this in is the wiring up there. It is not necessarily routed in the spot that it's was supposed to, because like at least up top, like on the side here it's just fine, but like going up top, it's almost impossible to kind of get it into the right spots. At least I just don't know how to. But anyways, transmission is in, missing a lot of bolts, but it's enough to hold it in there. I could probably snug that one in real fast. And then I have this rear brace in. That is enough for me tonight. That took us a couple of hours to put in, mostly because we just flat out don't have the right tools. But yeah, wow. I have been absolutely fighting my car like crazy today. It's just been a struggle. I'm definitely gonna need a friend for a lot of this. I'm just struggling, and it's about to send me completely over the edge. I feel like we all have moments like this. I think I just need to go inside and be done. I can't get the transmission oil cooler lines connected up for some reason. Like, they're in the holes that they're supposed to be, but like they just won't thread. It just won't. I don't know why. It's just not. It just seems like it's not lining up correctly and it's just not going in. Don't know why. Not threading. So I was like, okay, I'll move on to the next thing. I kind of need to get those done before I could put on any heat shields as well. So I can't really make any progress there. My dipstick tube was not connected, like from the top to the bottom, sitting inside the transmission oil pan. Like the tubes just weren't connected yet. So I loosened up the top bolt, was absolutely fighting that. That wasn't fun either. I just got absolutely covered in whatever fluids on my car. Probably transmission fluid and power steering fluid. And I finally got it connected. I felt kind of proud of myself. Put my dipstick inside of the tube so I could just be done with that part. And this happened. I don't know how I did it, but I just sheared it. And thank goodness I was able to get a pair of needle nose pliers in there. I should probably not get this on my book. Needle nose pliers in there, and was able to grab it from the top and pull the dipstick completely out. Why is it not focusing? Focus, there we go. Yeah. Focus, there you go. I just completely sheared it. I am so ticked off. I really hope I could just order one of these off of Lexus or off of eBay or something, because oh my goodness, this is so frustrating. I don't know why it even snapped. I just put it in there, put it into the tube right there. Also, I don't know why my tube is sitting so close right now. Like, that's not touching anything. That tube's not touching, but for some reason this tube is like right up against the engine. And yeah, it just sheared, so that's nice. I'm probably gonna be done for today. That's enough. So this is what I was connecting up. It connects up right there, and that's the dipstick tube going all the way up. that bolt up right in there is what I had to take off, pull the dipstick back, shove it back in, dipstick tube back and put it back in. And that was already a pain in the ass just because it's really hard to reach that bolt and also tighten it back up again. And stick the dipstick tube in there, and like I was wondering why it wasn't sitting against the engine very well, like it was like touching the engine, and I don't know why it was doing that still. And I like wiggled it around a little bit and it just snapped. Oh my gosh. This is just a big pain. I think it's not really that big of a deal probably, but it just set me off for some reason. I'm sick and tired of this. Alright, it's the next day. I'm done throwing my little temper tantrum. We are installing the drive shaft right now. I put on some heat shields. I also fixed this up a little bit. We had to adjust it up there. We had to loosen the bolt and adjust it so it wasn't hitting the engine anymore. I believe that is how I ended up snapping the dipstick. I put this cross strut here, whatever it is for, not really exactly sure. And yeah, we're making progress. And then this was definitely a two-person job. Sorry, it's kind of hard to see since I'm underneath the car. But we were able to connect up these cooler lines. It was a really big pain in the butt. He had to press and hold it in place so I could get the thread started. And then once we got the thread started, we were all right. He's down there tightening everything up. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but we're getting there. And yeah, probably gonna do a couple more things wrong, but right now it's going pretty smooth. I'm hoping that we can get it all buttoned up today, and now it's just gonna be waiting for transmission fluid. All right, we pretty well got everything together. Now we're just gonna head into town so we can get some more exhaust gaskets. We need 4 of these, or 3. And then I'm gonna get some Loctite for the flywheel to torque converter bolts, and also a new torque wrench, because I'm pretty sure the one that I was using on the bell housing earlier is no good, because there's no way that I was torquing it past 25 foot-pounds. So I'm gonna get a new one, and it's also my dad's. I want my own. So I'm gonna get a new one, and I'm going to torque all those flex plate bolts down, put some Loctite on them, get some new gasket, and then we should be all put back together. And then we'll put that heat shield on, and from there we'll just be waiting on some transmission fluid, which I ordered from Amazon. I got the Toyota stuff. Before I was using Valvoline, but I'm switching to Toyota, the Type 2, or I think it's a Type 4 actually. That's the newer stuff. And I'll be putting that inside my car. So making really, really good progress. Everything went smoothly today. I'm talking to a guy on eBay for a dipstick, for a new dipstick. He's parting out a 91 Lexus LS400. And he thinks that he can get us the dipstick off of it, so that'd be really, really nice. And yeah, I'm super, super excited. Within the next week and a half, I'd say we'll be back on the road, hopefully, unless something goes wrong, which I'm crossing my fingers doesn't happen, because I don't think I can mentally handle another transmission teardown. All right, we went through it and we torqued all the torque converter bolts down to 25 foot-pounds, and we did it in 2 stages. We did it from 12.5 foot-pounds at first and went in a star pattern, and then did 25 foot-pounds on the second round. Now we're ready to put the inspection plate back on. I put marks on it so I knew kind of where we were at, and here's the inspection plate. That thing is really dirty. I'm going to clean that off before I shove it on there, but yeah, we should be good to go. All right, everything underneath is officially put back together. Tightening up the last couple bolts on that heat shield, and we are completely done. That center bearing for the drive shaft, the center support bearing, I tightened those 2 bolts down to 27 foot-pounds according to the manual. We got the exhaust put up, got the O2 sensors put in, and got the inspection plate back in. Now it's just time to wait for that transmission fluid like I mentioned before. But she is all good to go now. That is super exciting. So I finished up the car tonight, and another thing that I wanted to take care of is in the back of my shop where my Volkswagen's at. There's like no light that shines over by my bench, and it's really, really difficult to do anything. And there's no way I was gonna be spending a lot of money to do anything to actually get a lot of light back there. So I went to Harbor Freight and spent like, I don't know, like 60 bucks and got a couple light bars and jigged them up there. Not the best way, but they're up there and there's light now. So let's see, here's all lights off except for that one down there. Let me turn off my flash. And then there's those lights back there. This is just those 3 lights and that light. The light switches in here is really, really weird, but yeah, we got lights on the wall here and it's bringing just enough light down on here. It almost is too bright, but it's nice, honestly. I needed it. It's way, way better than before. Don't mind the table already soaked in ATF, but yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. Just a little side quest that I did while working on the transmission, and that's about it. I just now got home from work and I got a little present on my doorstep. That is all my oil for my transmission. Also earlier, doing some more research on what kind of fluid to actually put inside my car, I ended up going with something a little bit different, but what you're supposed to do. Before I was running this Valvoline Max Life multi-vehicle automatic transmission fluid, and it's supposed to be, it's recommended for Dextron type 6, it looks like. And instead of using this, which it worked fine, I think it was fine. It didn't really cause any problems. I ended up switching to this. This is Toyota Type T4 automatic transmission fluid. And from all the forums that I've read, they say this is the stuff that you should be using, and you shouldn't use anything else at all. So I got a big case of it here, like 12 quarts, and this is what I'm going to be putting inside of my transmission. So what we're doing is we are pouring it through a really skinny funnel, down through the dipstick tube and into the transmission. Can't go very much at a time because it doesn't drain very fast through that tiny little funnel, but looks like I spilt a little bit over the edge there. I am leaking a little bit there, but I don't think that's anywhere out of the transmission. But yep, she hasn't ran in a while, so this is going to be a really cold start. I just hooked up the negative terminal to the battery, so here it goes. Oh my gosh, she sounds so good. I do have a lot of smoke coming off of back there, and I'm not sure why. I'm kind of thinking that it might be the automatic transmission fluid burning off. At least that's what I'm hoping it is. There is kind of a weird ticking noise. Yeah, it looks like all of it's coming off of the exhaust here. Something sounds weird inside of the transmission, and I'm thinking my shift linkage is off because currently it is not going into any gears. So that's what I'm hoping it is. I'm going to mess around with it some more and see what I can do. Okay, I'm going to check the fluid one more time. I just loosened up the linkage and I manually put it into park, and then once I start it up, I'm going to see if I can put it into drive manually and or reverse, whatever I can do, and see if the back wheels will turn. Well, as of right now, I do not have any gears, and either all my gears are gone, or the only other thing I can think of is I don't have enough fluid in the transmission, and it is not putting enough pressure where it needs to be to actually put the car into reverse, which is also a possibility. Maybe it's not, maybe I'm talking out of my ass here, but all I know is right now I don't have any gears. So yeah. So I just looked it up, and one thing that I didn't do when putting the transmission back in was pre-fill the torque converter. There's a lot of speculation on whether you actually have to or if you don't. And a lot of people are saying you don't, and all you're gonna do is make a big mess. So I'm thinking that I'm okay in that section. But I don't know, again, I don't know if I'm thinking out my ass or if this is actually good, reasonable suspicion is, so if there isn't enough fluid inside the torque converter, then the torque converter is not going to grab. And this is just from my understanding. And when if the torque converter doesn't grab, then it's not spinning my oil pump. And if my oil pump's not spinning, then there's no fluid getting pushed throughout my transmission, and the torque converter is not going to end up filling up. Or maybe just leaving it running like this will keep it turning enough to where the oil pump will fill up the torque converter, and the torque converter will fill up eventually. I don't know. I've shifted it through a lot of gears for about maybe less than 5 minutes, and I'm hoping now I'm just gonna let it run for a little while and see if it can do it on its own. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what I can do. I'm gonna keep messing with it, and hopefully I can figure out how to get it into a gear. I don't know. We'll see. But again, from what I've just read, it should be okay. It should still fill up even if the pump or the torque converter was completely dry. As long as it was looped up, it should still turn and still fill up with fluid. So I'm gonna keep checking on the fluid and see what it does. I really hope that's the sound of things working and not broken things, because that is a lot of clatter. I don't know if you can hear it on video, but there's quite a bit of clatter. I hope that means that it's finally sucking up fluid. I don't know. I guess we're gonna find out. That's a sign. I think the torque converter is trying to grab. The wheel is starting to move. It was trying to move, and the clatter quieted down a lot. Okay. That's hope. Okay, the back wheels are moving, but there's a lot of clatter underneath of there. And I'm not sure what that is, but the back wheels are moving right now. I don't know what to think. I'm kind of going back and forth here. Is this good? Is this bad? Why is this clattering? Sounds like it's clattering up by the torque converter. I'm assuming that means it's getting fluid, right? You can hear it right up in here. So there's a couple different things that could be possibly wrong, at least from what I can tell from my research. It sounds like a lot like an exhaust leak, which I very well could, because I didn't replace the gaskets going on the exhaust, which I should have, but I ordered the wrong ones on eBay and nobody in town had any, so I just didn't do it. I put it back together. Very well could have an exhaust leak. I probably do, but it sounded like there could be more ticking. Another thing could be my torque converter, a broken vane, or just something wrong with the torque converter. The torque converter not lining up correctly onto the flex plate, and it's not adjusted on there correctly. The flex plate could be cracked. I'm going to try and see if it is my flex plate, or not my flex plate, if it is my torque converter. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to, instead of revving my engine and seeing if it ticks with my engine, I'm going to pull the TV cable and see if that does anything. And if that does, then I'll know that there's something wrong with my torque converter, and I'm going to be very, very upset. If nothing happens, then I'm going to be asking more questions and wondering what's wrong, but at least I'll know that it's not my transmission. So we're going to take this apart and see what we can do here. Okay, so adjusting that TV cable, not adjusting, I was just moving it back and forth. There is no longer any more clatter or ticking. I can't, what? What? I don't know what. I'm no automatic transmission sexpert, but I think I just fixed it. I don't know. What is that? What did I do? I couldn't tell you, but I'm hoping that it's fixed now, so. The car is driving again. Oh my gosh. The amount of happiness going through my body right now is astronomical. Oh, this is so sick. I love this car. Let's go, baby. We are driving. It is official, baby. Transmission is warm. We haven't had any weird shifting issues. It's been shifting really, really good. It's driving super smooth. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love it. I am so stoked right now. This took so much work. I haven't done any hard pulls, and I'm not going to because I'm scared to. I'm just happy to be driving the car. I'm not gonna ruin it for myself. This is fantastic. Shift kit still shifts pretty hard. Not as hard as it did before, weirdly enough, but I think that has something to do with my line pressures being off and it making it shift harder than it was actually supposed to. But it definitely shifts harder than stock, and it's kind of sick. Don't mind my my tack. It's broken, but we're driving great right now. This is amazing. I missed this car so much. So the car still hasn't had any problems driving at all. But just a couple minutes ago, it was throwing the transmission code light, which is the overdrive off light, and it was flashing it at me. I'm not sure why, because the car still hasn't shifted weird. It hasn't felt weird, hasn't shifted weird at all, hasn't missed a beat. But the light did come on, and I'm not sure why. But it's not blinking anymore. But that's how it was like when my my shift solenoid is out. So I'm curious to see if what code it's actually throwing, and maybe it's just throwing the code because the shift kit's in and it doesn't like it, or maybe the temps are getting too high. I'm already looking into or thinking about putting a transmission oil cooler on this summer. Hopefully I'll be able to drive this car a while before I go ahead and do that, but these things are, from what I've seen, are pretty notorious for getting hot, especially adding a shift kit on like this. So I'm thinking I'm going to be probably putting one of those on this summer. Hopefully later than sooner, instead of sooner than later. But yeah, I'm super stoked. I missed this stereo so much. Sounds so good with the subs. Man, I miss this car so much. I'll take tonight as a success. I haven't had any weird shifts, just the light. So last night I got a transmission code on my car, so right now I'm pulling the transmission code right now. If you have not seen my shift kit video, you have to put a jumper wire in between TE1 and E1. And that's what I have going right now. I have a jumper wire right there, and you can read the odometer light here. And this flashed 6 times and then blank 7. I'm not sure where it's at right now, but you can see the odometer light flashing right now. I got code 67. I'm about to go look it up and see what it is. So after doing a little bit more research, I found out it's code number 67 is the overdrive speed sensor. And that pretty much just tells the transmission when to kick into overdrive. But when I was driving it last night, I didn't really notice that it wasn't kicking into overdrive. Like it was just fine, and it was in overdrive. Unless maybe I'm going crazy. I don't know. But that sensor should be fairly easy to replace. So maybe I'll just order up a new one and install it. But I'm just really grateful and thankful that it's not something more serious. It's just an overdrive speed sensor. Usually code 63 and 67 go on together, which is the number 2 shift solenoid, which I already replaced recently, or right before the shift kit. So maybe that overdrive one was coming on as well, and I just didn't replace it. So I'll probably end up ordering that part and just replacing it. So I don't think it'll be a big deal. I still don't have that transmission light coming back on, but the car's been running really well. I've been driving it quite a bit today. Shift kit feels really nice. Let's see if I can get a video of it shifting nice. extremely smooth. And I don't know, it felt way better than this car ever has. Like, ever since I bought this car, it's never felt this good before. I think the shift solenoids were out when I bought it, or at least going out, because it never ever shifted that smooth. And I don't know, it feels really good, and I'm super happy with it. If you saw that I was speeding, but I'm in Mexico, so don't need to worry about it, thankfully. But yeah, I'm super excited, and I'm super happy with how the shift kit finally ended up turning out. And I'm glad I'm not having any more problems as of now. Anyways, I'll keep driving it for a little bit and wait for those test results to come back, just out of curiosity. I don't think anything's wrong with my transmission, but yeah, I'm super happy. Also today, I did finally get that oil sample back from Blackstone Labs. They're super far behind, so it took them 16 to 18 business days to actually get it back. And I'm glad that I put the transmission back together before waiting for those test results to come back. Otherwise, I've been waiting forever. And obviously, my transmission is okay because I'm driving it. They struggled to get some real good tests off of it because of how little miles was on the fluid, which I kind of expected that to happen. But they essentially said that they're going to take it with a grain of salt because of how little miles were on it, and that the transmission fluid was cold, and everything was okay. They said maybe an extra amount of lead inside the oil, which I don't know where that would be coming from, and they don't know where that exactly would be coming from either. So my transmission is just fine. Here are the results right here. They gave me a piece of paper for it, or they printed one off. They haven't mailed one back yet. And yeah, so my transmission is all good to go. So now there's one more really important question to answer. Was the shift kit worth it? For me, honestly, I don't think it really was. More than anything, I think it was just a learning experience and just a huge pain in my ass. But I think if I didn't end up blowing the oil pump seal, which I believe was my fault, I believe I overfilled the transmission with fluid and was just doing too hard of pulls right away, especially with that much fluid in it, and it caused the seal to blow. On top of the seals already being old, I think that is mostly my fault that the seal did blow. But if I didn't have that problem, I think the shift kit would have been 100% worth it. It is a lot of fun. It feels really cool, and when I hammer on it, it feels great, and I can still drive it without being too annoyed with it, at least at the setting that I did, the truck setting, and it felt great. But since I had to replace the seal on the oil pump, it was a huge pain in my butt and a lot more extra work than I was anticipating, and it made it not worth it for me. But I learned a lot, got a lot of footage out of it, did something very new to me. I took a transmission out for the first time, but it was super cool. So I'm gonna go try to get a couple more driving clips today and maybe do 1 or 2 pulls just for the sake of the video, even though I'm kind of sketched out by it. I probably won't do 100% pulls, but maybe I'll do like a 40 to 70 or something like that. And I also went drifting in the parking lot a little bit last night, which was fun. And yeah, I'm just enjoying the car right now. I'm gonna try not to blow up another oil pump in the meantime, but here's some driving clips of the car with the shift kit and the new oil pump seals installed.
Oh no, is he done? Oh, that's so funny. Oh my God.
It's about the right time though. So wait, it's gonna hit like almost 80, then I'll do it. Now. Wow. So we're about to go onto the interstate, and I'm probably going to do about a 3/4 throttle pull. I don't think I'll do any full throttles. Again, still kind of skittish on doing that. but I'll do a 3/4 pull. Hopefully you'll be able to see the speedometer and how it shifts. You won't be able to really look at the tachometer because it doesn't work. At least it doesn't work correctly. So hopefully back there you can hear and also kind of feel how the shift kit feels inside the car and how it affects the car. But you actually couldn't really feel how hard it shifts between 1 and 2. It actually, when it downshifted, it didn't downshift really hard. I'm not sure why, but it felt a lot smoother than it ever has before, so I'm really happy about that. The car also sounds phenomenal, but we'll see what we can catch. I'll turn around up here somewhere and I don't know. I guess we'll see what kind of, if we can get any sort of feels at all. So what I think I'm gonna try this time, opposed to last time, is instead of having the car shift down into second or whatever it was, I'm gonna see if I can get it to shift harder between first and second here. And yeah. A lot better. You still couldn't really see how hard it shifts, but I don't know how else to really portray how well it's shifting right now. But yeah, it's super clean. It feels good. It doesn't feel out of place at all. I'm super happy with how it's going, and I still haven't had any transmission lights come on, so I think we're all in the clear. As of right now, the temperatures, I'm sure, are staying well, especially with here in Montana. It's down to like probably 0 degrees at the moment. It's pretty cold, but once it warms up, we'll see if we can get some more content. Right at full throttle, and up towards the top of the shift kit there isn't very much. It doesn't jerk around near as much, but it feels really good. The biggest thing with the shift kit is the 1 to 2 shift, and that's where it's going to shift way harder than anything else. Also, this car up here is really sketch. It has no rear taillights, like there's nothing on.